Well, good morning, Mrs. Stewart's class, and welcome to the library. Today we will be talking about copyright laws and rules as far as researching and using internet resources to do your final project, and talking about why they matter on a grander scale for you as a student moving forward through high school and college and beyond. Today's agenda, what we'll be doing, I will be doing a quick welcome and introduction. We will be talking about copyright rules and laws. We'll be talking about fair use and what you are allowed to use and how to use it in class and beyond. And then we will do a knowledge check to see what you have learned and make sure there are no gaps in your learning moving forward. As I said, welcome to the library. If you have not had a chance to come in with Ms. Stewart or another teacher, I am Mrs. Gallegos, and I'm the librarian here at ABC High School. It is wonderful to meet you all, and I hope that you guys will come into the library for all kinds of needs. I'll be your resource for book recommendations, research questions, and more. Obviously, today we'll be talking about copyright as it relates to research, but any other questions you guys might have, feel free to ask me today or come in whenever you can. These are our learning objectives for today. We'll be looking at TEKS 8, Inquiry and Research, specifically 8D, critically evaluating primary and secondary sources, and especially 8E3, use source materials ethically. We will also be looking at some ISTE standards, 1.2C, intellectual property, and ISTE 1.3A, effective research strategies. So why does copyright use matter? If you create a physical object, you can physically control who gets to use it, but creative works are harder to control. For example, once someone knows a song, they can sing it or teach it to someone else. Copyright laws work to control ownership, use, and distribution of creative and expressive works. This quote is from the University of Minnesota and talks about why copyright use is even something that matters to you guys as students and to the populace as a whole. So, rules for copyright. Our inclination in today's world is just to download whatever we want to use, correct? We use it for audio, for video, and it's so easy to do in our day and age. And I'm sure you guys are very familiar with the internet. I know you know how to use it for all kinds of purposes and know exactly how to download whatever it is you need for personal use or for school. However, we do have to think about copyright infringement because unless it's authorized by the owner of the work or copyright law, it is technically against the law of copyright to just download something and use it for our own use. As far as copyright law goes, there are rights that creators have under US law. The creator is the person who controls who can make copies of the work, who can distribute copies of the work by selling, renting, lending, or giving away, who can perform or display the work publicly, and who can make derivative works like translations, adaptations, and reinterpretations. So what are we talking about when we're talking about these works? There are all kinds, right? Literary works, which are books, articles, poems, short stories. Musical works, symphonies, songs, opera, ballet. Dramatic works, which would be plays, scripts, films, and then motion pictures, which of course are movies and even short films. So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, well, what can I use in research? If all of that has to be approved by the owner, how am I going to be able to use anything at all? Well, there are a few things in place. These are a few, but there are more out there. Firstly, facts. A fact is just a fact and cannot be protected. So something like plants need the sun to grow. That is just a fact and not owned by any person or entity. Federal government documents. These are public domain and accessible to all. So you can use those as needed. And then there is something in place called fair use. Okay. And that is kind of the caveat to these copyright laws. And especially in the classroom in a school, all right, there are exemptions for basically any body of work that it can be performed or displayed by the teacher or student. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute. So when it comes to fair use, there are 4 factors to consider, okay? There is the purpose, all right? So why the work is being used, all right? Is it of a commercial nature to sell something, or is it nonprofit for education purposes? Our purposes here today are for education purposes, and so that matters a lot when it comes to this fair use and being able to use the work of someone else. All right, nature, the nature of the copyrighted work, what it entails. The amount is a big factor. So the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. And then the effect, okay? So the potential market or value, is it going to be affected by you using it? Basically, are you affecting the sales of this work in some way? That would obviously be an infringement and not okay. So to piggyback off of that, with educational use, all right, we talked about the purpose. So materials should be used for in-class purposes only, okay? You wouldn't be posting this to the internet at large or trying to market it in any way. The nature, you're going to use only what is relevant, okay? So excerpts, shorter pieces of the work are what you need to use, and you want to avoid substantial excerpts. And then the amount, like I said, use brief works or excerpts. And then effect, is the sale of the work being affected? Okay, that's where there would be issues with the law, okay? But for the nature of schoolwork, that wouldn't be an issue. You would have to go beyond that and try to market their work in some way, which would definitely be against the law. So how do you avoid copyright issues? You want to make sure you are abiding by the fair use policies. Use these things for school only. And then you want to cite your work. You're not going to just copy and paste something you find on the internet without citing where it comes from. I will show you guys an example of a citation page, but this is something that you will want to learn how to do and use all the time in the future, anytime you're using work outside of your own original words. Thirdly, make sure you are only downloading what you intend to, especially when it comes to images. Make sure it's just the image and not more coming with it. And then lastly, I want to say there is plenty of information out there, as you guys know, and you shouldn't be afraid to use it. You just want to use it correctly. All right. All right, I want to see what you guys have learned. So you're going to scan the QR code, log into Quizlet, and complete that assignment. And these are the resources that I used today for this presentation. The American Library Association, Copyright Basics from the University of Minnesota Libraries, the ISTE Student Standards, and then the Instructional Technology and Media textbook. This is how you would list your sources in the future. Your teacher will go into more clarification on this and how she wants it done. But just to reiterate, you absolutely always have to cite your sources if you're using information that you found online or elsewhere outside of your own knowledge. All right, thank you so much, guys, and good luck on your final project.